Crochet this Christmas stocking ornament with me. Hi there, I'm Cilla from Cilla Crochets, and I'm here to cheer you on throughout your crochet journey, no matter what stage you're at. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet a Christmas stocking ornament. Before we start, make sure you check that description. There's a link there to the free written crochet pattern on my blog, but there's also timestamps so you can skip to any parts of this video tutorial that you need when you need them. Alright, let's go on to the materials you'll need to make your little Christmas stocking decoration. You will need some DK yarn. In the original pattern, I've used 3 colours. So I've used this berry, the white, and also this gold around the edge. So the white and the berry, that was Rico Rikorumi DK, and the edging was Rico Rikorumi Lame. Today, I am just going for 2 colours. I am using some scrap yarn, DK weight. It's acrylic. I will show you what it actually is. Here we go. It's a Signet DK. And I am using pink and this silvery grey colour. And what I am doing is I'm doing this part, the berry, in pink. I will be doing the white in grey. And then I'm going to go around the edge in pink as well. You'll also need a crochet hook. I'm using a 2.5mm Clover & More crochet hook. If you're in the US, you can use a size C crochet hook as a substitute. The only thing I recommend is making sure that you're using a smaller crochet hook than what your yarn label recommends, just so we don't get any stuffing showing through our decoration. Speaking of stuffing, you will need some of that if you are making the decoration 3D like I have here. So just so you know, what we're doing is we're crocheting 2 flat pieces, and then we are putting them together and crocheting around the outside to make them into that 3D shape. So if you are making a 3D shape like me, you will need stuffing. However, you can also make a 2D shape simply by only making one of these pieces and then just crocheting around the edge. You'll also need a tapestry needle for sewing, some scissors, and a stitch marker for keeping track of your stitch count. Lastly, you can, as an option, use some sewing pins as well. That is if you are making the 3D shape. We've got 2 flat pieces. You can then use the pins to hold the flat pieces together as we're crocheting around the edge, and that just helps minimize movement. The stitches we will be using today are really easy, basic stitches, so we're mainly using a single crochet stitch throughout. You will also need to know how to chain, slip stitch, and increase and decrease with a single crochet as well. And just as a side note, I am using US terminology in this pattern today. Alright, let's get started. So let's make our stocking. I'm going to start with this pink yarn, which is going to be where the ruby is of the old pattern. And essentially what we do is we crochet the bottom of the stocking bit first. So this whole bit that's in ruby here is crocheted in one go. And then we crochet the top bit, and then we crochet around once we've made 2 of those shapes. So we do need to make 2 stocking shapes, put them together, crochet around and stuff part way through. So we're starting with this bottom bit of the stocking, and it is actually worked like this. So we go along like that, back and forth in rows. Okay, so to start off, we do a slip knot. And we chain 21. That is our 21st chain. So in row 1, we start in the 2nd chain from our hook. So not this one here, but the one just below it. And we are just going to do a single crochet in each chain across. So that is 20 single crochets in total. Then at the end we chain 1 and we turn our work. So let's start by crocheting into that 2nd chain from the hook. First single crochet, second single crochet, and we'll continue doing this until we get to the end of the chain. Alright, so that's us at the end of the chain. Let's quickly check how many single crochet stitches we have. We should have 20 at this point. Alright, that's correct. So to finish row 1, all we do is we chain 1 and turn our work so we can crochet in the other direction. Now we will crochet 19 single crochet stitches, so 1 single crochet into the next 19 stitches, and in the last single crochet of the row we will do an increase, so 2 single crochet into that last stitch. So let's carry on and do that now. This is our 19th single crochet, and in that last stitch we want to do an increase, so 2 single crochet into that same stitch, and then we will chain 1 and turn our work. So that is row 2 completed. For row 3 we're going to do 21 single crochet across and then chain 1 and turn. So all we're doing is we're single crocheting into every stitch along the row, chaining 1 and turning at the end. So let's go on and do that now. Okay, so now we need to chain 1 and turn, and we are up to row 4. In row 4 we'll do 20 single crochet, so that is up to here, and then in the final stitch we will increase, so that's 2 single crochet into the 1 stitch. Let's carry on and do that now. So that's our 20th single crochet, and in that final stitch we will do an increase. And then we will chain 1 and turn our work. So by the end of row 4 you should have 22 stitches in total. So do a quick stitch count check right now. Alright, we're all good, we're on track. So for row 5 we're just single crocheting across, so that is 22 single crochet stitches in total. For row 6 we're doing 21 single crochets across, and in the last stitch we increase. So let's go on and do that now. Okay, so this is our 21st single crochet, and we will be increasing in this last stitch now. So 2 single crochets into 1 stitch, chain 1 and turn our work. For row 7 we are single crocheting across, so just 1 single crochet in each stitch across. Chain 1 and turn. For row 8 we do 22 single crochet across, and then in the last stitch we increase. So let's do that now. So an increase in that last stitch, chain 1 and turn. Let's just do a quick row check here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're up to row 9, and we should have 24 stitches in this current row of row 8. So let's quickly do a stitch count check as well. All right, we're all good. Just be careful that you are definitely counting your increase. So for row 9, we are single crocheting across, so that is 24 stitches in total. 24 single crochet stitches. Chain 1 and turn. For row 10, we're doing 23 single crochet and then an increase in the last stitch of the row. So let's go on and do that now. (21), 22, 23. Then we're going to do an increase in this last stitch. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet into the same stitch, chain 1 and turn. Just to show you where we're at, we have just finished the last long row. We are about to start crocheting into this toe bit. Coming back to our working piece. From here, for row 11, we are just going to single crochet 12. 1 single crochet in the next 12 stitches. So let's do that. 11, 12. We are not crocheting into any of the stitches beyond this point. So from here, we simply chain 1 and we're turning our work to go in the other direction. For row 12, we're just doing another single crochet across. So that is 12 stitches. That's our 11. That is our 12th stitch. Chain 1 and turn. For row 13, we're going to increase, then do 9 single crochet and then 1 decrease. Increase first. Okay, and then we single crochet into the next 9 stitches. That's our 9th single crochet, and then we're going to decrease. So just, there we go, joining those 2 stitches together with 1 single crochet. Then we'll chain 1 and turn. For row 14, we are just single crocheting along the row. So that is 12 single crochet. Chain 1 and turn your work. For row 15, we increase in the first stitch, we do 9 single crochet, and then we decrease at the end. So increase first, then 9 single crochet, and then we do a decrease at the end, so joining those 2 stitches together. Chain 1 and turn. For row 16, we do a decrease, then 8 single crochet, and then another decrease at the end. So let's do that now. 1 decrease, then 8 single crochet, then we do a decrease. Chain 1 and turn. For row 17, we do a decrease, then 6 single crochet, and then a decrease again. And of course, like all rows, we chain 1 and turn. So now we're up to the 6 single crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then we do a decrease, chain 1 and turn. For row 18 we decrease, then do 4 single crochet and then decrease at the end. So let's do that now. Decrease, 4 single crochet, then another decrease, chain 1 and turn, and we are up to our last row of this bit anyway. So we're going to decrease, then 2 single crochet and then decrease. So doing our first decrease, then 2 single crochet, and then our last decrease, leaving us with 4 stitches in that row. So from here we're going to cut our yarn and fasten off. So just yarn over and pull through. Oh, there we go. Pull that tight to create that knot in the end. So the hard bit is done. Now we just need to do the top of the stocking. So I am using grey yarn for this. Let me get that ready now. So now we want to attach the new colour to our stocking. I am going to flip it over first. So we've got this yarn tail in the right corner and the ending yarn tail in the left bottom corner. So we'll insert our hook into the stitch that's right up here near the start. And we'll attach our new yarn by pulling that through and doing a chain stitch to attach it. This is row 21 of the shape. So we just finished 20 down here, but now we're attaching the new yarn. We're still doing the same piece, although it's in a different location. But this is row 20. So we're going to do 11 single crochet stitches across the top here. I'll start by crocheting into the same stitch that I've attached the yarn to. So that is our first single crochet. Just going to pull that yarn tail as well, the starting one. Make sure that's firmly in position. Now this is our second single crochet. Basically this is a single crochet in each row going across. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, put it in the corner, 11. There we go. So that's our row 20. We chain 1 and turn to finish the row, and then we are just going to do the same, 11 single crochet across, chain 1 and turn, and we're going to do that for 3 rows. So for row 21, row 22 and row 23. So let's go on and do row 21 together. It's 1 single crochet across, and we chain 1 and turn. So that is row 21 complete. Now go ahead and do that for row 22 and row 23 and meet me back here. So that is our row 23 complete. For row 24, which is our last row, I'm sure you'll be glad to hear, we are just doing 11 single crochet and then we will cut our yarn and fasten off. So let's go ahead and do row 24. Alright, so here we can cut our yarn and fasten off. Pull that tight to create a knot. And there we have our stocking, our first one. We need to make 2 of these. At this point, it's a good idea to sew in your yarn tails, all of the yarn tails. So I'm going to do that now. I recommend sewing in all of the yarn tails to the same side. Okay, so I really hate asking this. However, I would really love more crocheters to see these free video tutorials. So I'm asking you, if you are not currently subscribed to my YouTube channel, but you're enjoying this video tutorial, please do hit that subscribe button. Also, liking, commenting, and sharing this particular video tutorial will also help it reach more people. So honestly, if you can do any of those things, I would really appreciate it. It just means that more crocheters will see these videos. Enough from me, let's get to the tutorial. Okay, now if you're making a 3D decoration like me that you are going to stuff, you will need a second one of these stockings. So if you're doing that, make sure you go to the description below. In the description are timestamps, and go back to the section where we've made our first stocking and just repeat the steps to make a second stocking. I have already done my second stocking, although I do need to sew in the yarn tails. If, however, you're just wanting a flat decoration, you can hang on here and follow the directions for crocheting around the outside and doing a nice little decorative loop. But for the 3D shape, you will need to make your second stocking. So now's a good time to go and make your second stocking and then meet me back here for assembly. Alright, now we're ready to join our pieces together by crocheting around the outside. I have decided to do my edging, which was in gold in the original one, in the pink, the hot pink that I am using. So the first thing I just wanted to mention before we go on, wherever you start to do the joining is where the loop will end up. So have a think about where you want your decoration, how you want it to hang. I'm still going to do the same. I like having it in this corner, but you might decide you want it straight at the top or in the other corner. Have a think about that, and all you need to do differently is just start from the place where you want the loop, okay? So with that said, I am going to put my pieces together, line them up. You may find it useful to put sewing pins in here to keep them straight. I am not going to use sewing pins. I find them a little bit annoying. But I'm going to insert my hook just alongside the corner. So I want my loop to be in the corner. So I'm going just in the stitch in the row below that corner. And I will attach the yarn I'm using for the edging. So for me that is pink in this case. So all we'll do is do a quick chain just to connect them. Now all we're doing is single crocheting around this shape, and halfway through we will stuff. The only thing to be aware of is I recommend doing 3 single crochets in any kind of corner. For this shape, the corners are here, 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 and here, and up here. And here as well, but don't worry about this one because that's where our loop will be. So if you're starting where I am, just to be aware, we're considering that a corner, there, there, and there. Alright, so crocheting down the shape, we're going to crochet into the same stitch where we've attached the yarn, just 1 single crochet. The rough rule of thumb is to do a single crochet per row as we're working down. So until we get to that first corner I pointed out, it should be roughly 23 single crochet stitches. Now you just want to make sure your hook is going into both pieces. So as you're approaching the corner, you just want to make sure things are still aligned. Then when you get to the corner, we're going to do 3 single crochets into that same corner stitch. That just helps us turn around the piece a little bit easier. And then just continue back to crocheting a single crochet in each row, making sure you're joining those pieces together as you go, so your hook is going into both sides. Alright, so this corner of the toe coming up is where we'll do another 3 single crochet into the one stitch. And then this other corner of the toe, we will now do another 3 single crochet stitches. Okay, and then continue by single crocheting. Soon, very soon, we're going to stop and start stuffing. Alright, so now I'm going to add some stuffing before we go too much further. Here we go. I'll break it up just because I don't want it to be all lumpy. Just going to make sure we get it to the toe. Now I don't want mine to be as full as this one was. I just want it to be subtly full. So I'm not putting too much in. There we go. Okay, so I'll continue crocheting and I will stop again to add more stuffing as we go. So I'm almost at this corner, and when I get to the corner I'm going to do 3 single crochets in here as well. There we go. Now we continue crocheting, lining these pieces up. This should be a bit easier because we're crocheting into single crochet stitches. Going to stop here and add a little bit more stuffing. Alright, so now we will continue crocheting around the outside. And always make sure your hook is going through both sides of the shape. Just add a little bit more. Alright, so we'll continue crocheting up to the corner. And in the corner we'll do 3 single crochet stitches. Now's a good time to just double check you're happy with the stuffing. I am happy, I'm not going to add any more, but you may want to add some more at this point. Now we will just continue to crochet along the top of the piece. Now we're going to do 1 single crochet in this corner because then we'll create our loop. So to create the loop, I chain 20. That is a chain 20 there. If you want a longer loop, just chain more stitches. Or if you want a shorter loop, you can chain less stitches. So I'll go ahead and chain 20 because I know that works for me. I just wanted you to know that you can adjust it if you need to. Alright, so that is 20 chain stitches there. From here, you are simply going to single crochet into the exact same stitch where you started your chain from. There we go. So that's a single crochet there. And then we will slip stitch to the very first single crochet you started joining the piece together with. Okay. So that's a slip stitch. Now you'll cut your yarn, leave about 10 to 15 centimeters just for a tiny bit of sewing at the end, and then fasten off. So yarn over and pull through, pull that tight so it creates that knot. Now that is our loop currently. What I prefer is that the loop is pinched at the bottom. So I simply use my tapestry needle and this yarn tail that we just ended with to sew the bottom of the loop together. So I'm going to do that now. You sew into the bottom chains to sew them together. So that is the first and last chain basically. And I'm just looping around and going around that a couple times. You pull it tight and that will pinch it together. And that is just a personal preference thing, but I think that tidies it up quite a lot and it looks a bit nicer. So from here, I'm going to weave my yarn tail into the back stitches. And I'll go skip a stitch and go back the other way just to make sure it's nice and secure. And then so it's properly hidden inside the shape, I'm just going to insert my needle and bring it up away from where I am. It doesn't matter where, anywhere in the shape is fine. And then you pull that yarn tail tight and cut it as close as you can to the decoration. Then we'll just do the same with this starting yarn tail. And there you have it. That is your completed Christmas stocking decoration. And now you should have your very own little Christmas stocking ornament. If you have finished your make, please do pop up a photo on social media and tag me at Cilla Crochets so I can give you some love and see your make. Now, as always, if you've enjoyed this video tutorial, please do subscribe to my channel and turn the little bell on so you get notified when any more tutorials are released. Until next time, happy crocheting!